morning. Welcome to Hairbrained Live. I'm Jessica Ruth at West Coast Beauty with James Abu Alba, Method Education and Davines Artist. Thank you so much for joining. We also have Sarah with us here on the camera. And basically, because we are all in the social bubble together, we are not wearing masks today, but we do wear them when we're working and when we leave the building today. So thank you again for joining. And James, how about you introduce what you have going on for us today?
Morning guys, thanks for taking the time today to join us on Hairbrain. Thanks Hairbrain for having this platform for us to share on, and thanks to Davines for also providing the platform for myself and Jess and Sarah to be here today. So this is part 2 of my diversity in cutting. So today we're going to work on like a pixie shag. We've got a beautiful color which we'll go into talk about a little bit later, but let's jump right into the haircut. So I started off by taking a vertical section from just above the crown or at the crown to the nape, and I started off parallel working to length in the nape area, and we're going to be following that all the way around the head in order to create a little bit of softness around the hairline. And I think that's really important when we think about a shag. You know, when my clients or guests come in and they say, you know, I want something that's a little bit like a shag, I think the number one thing we have to ask ourselves is, what is a shag to me? And then what is a shag to the guest? And that's a big question in the consultation process, because that's where we create clarity. Because I've seen a lot of images of shags that I maybe wouldn't classify it as a shag myself. You guys might not classify this as a pixie shag, so it's important to have that thorough consultation with our clients to get it started. But where's everybody watching from? I'd love to hear you guys and say hi to you. And
great. Well, we do have lots of people that have already joined us, so thank you so much for joining. Both Jody and Dak say good morning, and great to see us. We're thrilled to be here, and we're also so happy that you've taken the time out of your morning. This is something I've been looking forward to. I really enjoy your work, James, and this specific look I think is going to be great.
Is this you? Who's saying? Who
Me.
says that?
I'm saying that.
Oh, you're saying
Well,
that.
I was waiting for things. I'm giving you a compliment. Tara Lynn is watching from Vancouver.
Tara Lynn.
People from Indiana.
Awesome. So check this out. So now you can start to see the shape start to form. So it becomes quite head hugging in through here, and as we get into the perimeter, we start to get that flick in the beginning of what I would call a shag. And I'm going to keep working around. My body position is going to move round all the way until I get to about the corner of the hairline. And the reason I'm doing that is because that's where the hairline jumps. And there's a lot of stuff that's going on around there. You know, we've got an ear that we have to take into consideration. We have the jump in the hairline. We've got bone structure. We've got the mastoid process that sits behind the bone that can often interfere with the way that we're cutting. And so that's an area that you want to be considerate of and be aware that we have to adjust how we're standing or how we're cutting in order to create the shape that we want and not start cutting holes into our haircuts.
Great. Well, we have people from Finland, the UK, Ontario, Mexico,
Wow.
All across Canada, Kelowna, and lots of people locally here from Vancouver as well. So great
Love
to
it.
have everyone
Welcome everybody.
here.
I'm doing a pixie shag for those of you that just joined on this great color. I was done with Davines' non-ammonia line called A New Color. Sarah, who's filming today, she's the colorist behind this magic. She's done a great job. She's been working with me for the past month now, doll head after doll head after doll head, trying to create looks for virtual classes that we're doing, for Hairbrained, just taking the time to practice and refine our cutting and coloring skills. So as I'm getting towards the length, or towards the nape, I'm increasing length, and that's going to give me that softness. I think for a long time, you know, and if you joined me for my Hairbrained last week, it was all about having really strong lines, where this time it's about having softness and more fluidity in our haircut. And this is the diversity that I'm talking about, is that being able to be a multi-dimensional hair cutter or hairdresser and create more than just one aesthetic. And there's nothing wrong with being a master in that one aesthetic at all. For me, it's more about exploring my craft and exploring all the tools in my, bag of scissors or color brushes, whatever it is. So as we get here, you can see the softness is starting to round up with the hairline, which I like. And I'm gonna let it go with that. I originally wanted to keep it a little bit longer, but I'm liking that flow that's happening in through there. I'm keeping my left foot planted so I can pivot on it and ensure that my body position maintains consistent from one side to the other. Increasing length towards the nape. And I change my hand position so that I'm cutting palm to palm. A bit easier for your body. I always think that, this career is something that I have to do for the next, hopefully another 20 years. And, body position is something that I think about constantly. So for me, and it's different for everybody else, but for me, I always think that it's okay for my guest to move and tilt her head in order for my body position to stay upright and be thinking about the ergonomics of it.
Amazing, thank you. It's looking great so far, and Sarah, there's been so many shout outs to you and compliments for the beautiful color. There are questions with regards to kind of the process of this. So with the lightening and the bleaching process, Progress bleach was what was used, is that correct?
Sarah, do you want to talk from there?
Yes. Progress bleach, which is our amazing bleach that leaves the hair feeling so great. And then the color itself is a new color, and it's a mix of very minuscule amounts of the green from a new color and the blue from a new color, with a regular mixing ratio of cream base and 5 volume. I can add the formula in later once I'm done filming. But yeah.
Awesome, such a beautiful color. I think mint for me right now is the color that I'm going to be chasing for this next few months. I mean, I'm in love with it, and it's not an easy color to achieve. To get the right mint, I find a lot of mints can sometimes show up as blue, and getting the right mint is going to be just minty, really.
Is there anyone else out there that has been playing around with this type of color or with creative colors that you'd like to share? As well, if there's anyone that has been using a new color, the non-ammonia line, with the pure colors, just as Sarah has used with James here today. It really is stunning, thank you.
So come to this angle, Sarah. You can start to see what we're doing here with the flick. And we can get that kind of shaggy ends to this look. And I think having this type of color over top of this cut really makes it pop. In one of the color classes that I'm teaching this coming week, it focuses on understanding light. And if you guys are interested in learning about these 3 specific techniques, one is ambient, which talks about the overall color of the hair and choosing the right color for the haircut. To create that ambient mood or that ambient culture to your guest. And then the other one that we'll be teaching this Sunday is called task lighting. So task lighting is more about, we have a specific task that we need to perform. There's something that we really want the viewer, and the viewer being our client or those looking at our client, to see and to notice within the haircut. And how do we apply those theories between cutting and color to create one total look? And I think that gets missed a lot when we're working in the salon, is that we create a haircut and then sometimes we create a color completely separate from the haircut based on what the client wants, not necessarily what the client needs. So it's about educating your guest on what we do as artists and choosing the appropriate color and the appropriate technique. And then of course the last technique that I'll be sharing 2 weeks from now is called spotlighting. And I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's creating a spotlight on the hair, a focal point, and how to choose that focal point, and what does light hair do versus dark hair on what part of the head. You know, I think like with cutting, there's so much theory that's gone into, you know, understanding face shape. For those of you that don't know Vancouver, the gravity is very strong, so you'll notice me dropping my comb. But we put a lot of theory into cutting and understanding face shape when we cut, but I don't think that the same respect goes to color and understanding what does light color do around the face? What does dark color do around the face? How can we manipulate, you know, our viewers to see a face shape? You know, what do we want to bring out? What do we want to expand? What do we want to recede? These are all things that I think are very important in both cutting and as well as coloring.
So James, there's greetings from Hong Kong, India, Boston.
Oh, wonderful. I love it. I mean, thanks for the community for supporting Hairbrain, and thanks for Hairbrain for having such a great community of hairdressers. I remember years ago when Hairbrain first started it.
Yeah.
You know, it's really quite impressive what it's grown into and become over the years. So you can start to see, for those of you that are joining, I'm doing what I would call a pixie shag, and I'm working shorter to longer around my perimeter to create that softness and a really nice, you know, head hugging shape internally. As I get to the front, I want to leave a little bit more length, so I'm going to over direct it back, working shorter to longer.
So it's interesting, James, yesterday I was doing a virtual coffee session with some salon owners, and they were talking about motivation, and sometimes the lack of motivation that happens in a time like now where people are not as maybe connected in live classrooms. And I have to say that I think what you're doing definitely motivates others, but I wouldn't mind if you would share about maybe the live hands-on class that you did yesterday virtually. Is that something that you could share, like what that process is like and how that is available?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really, you know, for educators, for hairdressers, for students, it's a really interesting time because, you know, I love teaching. I love in-person teaching. And, you know, through all this, and we know what all this is, we've had to adapt. And, you know, to be quite honest with you, you know, those who adapt quickly will thrive. And so we need to start making changes and not dwelling on the way things used to be, but start moving forward on the way that things can be. And, you know, part of that is doing a hands-on virtual class, which is not easy as an instructor. And, you know, yesterday it was a 3-hour great session with a team out of Michigan Van Beer Salon. And as an educator, I learned a lot. And I learned a lot about, you know, how do I coach somebody via a tiny little screen, you know, on my computer and give them the most that I can give at the same time, you know, just continuing to keep everybody positive in this. And, you know, by the end of the class, by the end of the 3-hour session, I think it was really great. We were able to do one-on-one coaching with the team, and we created 2 cute little haircuts for them that they can translate to the salon right away. So if you are interested in one-on-one or group sessions, please reach out to me. You can DM me directly on Instagram, and my Instagram is @method_education. Or you can log on to davinespro.com, and you can also connect with one of our booking agents there, and we can create something that is a bespoke for you as well as your team. Yeah, it's a great way to carry on with the hands-on, because look and learns are fantastic, but there's so much more from a hands-on training that you learn through our mistakes, right? And I'm a big believer in making mistakes, because I'm not perfect, but I do learn from my mistakes. And one thing we say at our salon is we always fall forward, we never fall back. And as long as we can learn from our mistakes, it was worthwhile making it.
That's great. Thank you for clarifying that, because there are people, and thank you, Jamie, for asking, because she asked if we offer these types of classes online. And so again, we'll put in the comments afterwards ways to contact and be in touch through Davines Pro, but also through Method Education. It really is great to have you here providing this inspiration and motivation for others.
Thanks, guys. What do you think about the cut so far? Are you liking the shape? Do you have questions about where we're going or hair types? Because I will do this shape on most any hair type. It's also great for curly hair, believe it or not. For me, when I'm thinking about curly hair, I have a lot of guests who come in and they say to me, you know, I've got really curly hair, I want to change. I always find that my hair just looks the same, and that can happen with curly hair. But the trick is, if you want curly hair to look different, you have to do shapes that are unique. And working with, change the choice of length, but working with unique shapes in curly hair will always give them something new and different. Guys, I want to kind of break this cycle, because this just keeps weighing on my head, and I've been kind of mulling it over since last night. And I hope you don't mind me going off topic a little bit, but it's something that I think is dear to me, and it's bothering me. So I think whenever there's something bothering me or bothering you, we need to get it off your chest. So I hope you don't mind me kind of breaking the cycle of talking about hair, but let's talk about the industry slightly while I work through this front section. So last night I was reading an article, and the premise of the article was basically that women in the hair industry do not get the same recognition as the men in the hair industry. So I don't want to start a discussion about it, but what bothered me about that is, I think there's some truth to that. And what I want to do is I want to use this platform that has a lot of viewers, and I want to kind of give a shout out to some of the women who have helped me in my career. And I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have that help and that support. And so first of all, I think it's important that, one, I recognize Jess, who's here with me. She's been a huge support of me over the years in getting me into teaching and training and sharing, and really being a good guide and sounding board for me on steps to take. Sarah, who's behind the camera, who's also been working so hard, almost thanklessly. I thank her a lot, but thanklessly. And to be quite honest, when you see me doing this color, I don't want to take the credit for it, because she created it. Anna Pacito, who's a great inspiration to me, and she's one of the greatest female mentors that I've ever had, and I talk with her daily on how to move my career forward. Who else? There's Kelly from Hairbrained, where, I gotta be honest, I hadn't met Kelly before I started getting involved with Hairbrained, and she works effortlessly behind the scenes, bringing this platform forward in order to help progress not only my career, but your career at home as viewers. So I want to take this moment to, if there's been a female hairdresser who's influenced you or helped you go further in your career, who deserves the recognition, to just tag them in the comments and write briefly something really special about them, so that they do get the recognition. And let's start the process in changing who gets recognized away from sex, and just move it to who are great people who have helped us. So, if you guys are down with that, I'd love to make this feed a really positive one of recognition for females in our industry, if you're okay with that.
Awesome. Thank you, James. It really is wonderful that you've brought this up, and it seems like people are excited and responding. You have Franco from Workshop saying 100%, and there's other messages here mentioning your kindness.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So keep those posts coming, or keep those tags coming of females that have changed or supported you in the career, and they don't even have to be hairdressers. You know, one of the biggest people in my career was a woman named Rhonda Hashi, and she was my sales rep for years. And you know, she said to me, you know, what do you want to do? And I said, I'd love to be able to teach on stage. And she said, then let's make that happen. And she's worked with me for at least 5 years, helping me in the direction that I needed to go. So let's move on from that and let's go to the top. So we've basically, if you're joining, we're doing a pixie shag. We're working shorter internally, longer externally, so that we get this softness through the perimeter. We've separated the top section, and now we're going to go through and we're going to work again from short to long so that we maintain that length and some weight in the fringe area.
Great, thank you. So we are based out of Vancouver, Canada today with James Abu Alba, Method Education, and a Davines artist. We are close friends and in the same social bubble, so that is why we're not wearing masks today in case you are joining. But we do wear them behind the chair and when we leave the room in the building today. Interesting, James, that you mentioned Rhonda, because Tara Lynn also mentioned Rhonda. So nice shout out to Rhonda. She is incredible. What kind of cut are you doing? Cindy is asking, because it looks like maybe she is just joining.
Sure.
So if you could do a quick recap on that, James.
Cindy, well, my mother-in-law's name is Cindy, so I'm wondering if it's my mother-in-law. What's her last name?
Tinnen?
Oh, no, you're not my mother-in-law, Cindy. So I'm working on a pixie shag, or my interpretation of a pixie shag. Like I said, shorter internally and longer externally in the outline area, and then through the top we're also going to work shorter to longer and maintaining a little bit of softness through the front and a longer fringe, which at the end we'll go through and we'll visually open up.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. So we're going to go through here. We're going to move section 1 to section 2. We're club cutting, increasing length, shorter from the crown to longer through the fringe. These are the areas, you know, like I talked about last week, fringes are difficult. So I always like to leave my fringe area, or some of you might call it a bang area, a little bit longer, because then I don't remove all my options. I can see where the haircut is going, and I give myself the ability to adapt and to change, which is kind of the focus of being diverse in cutting, and work off a feeling. I think that if you start off with a plan that's too rigid in this type of look, you miss inspiration. And you know, I'm always watching to see what the hair is going to do, and I get inspired by that. And so my plan can change as it goes, and being open to that is key in being, you know, diverse. You know, I know hairdressers that sometimes get stuck in the plan, and when the plan doesn't go the way that it's supposed to, it throws them off. But be inspired by the hair as you cut and adapt.
Amazing.
So if you like what you're seeing, I mean, give us some likes, give us some shares, would be greatly appreciated.
Awesome, thank you, James. I'm actually loving the fact of how you're explaining and going through this process, and it got me thinking when you were talking about the longer fringe that you were the first person that basically cut my fringe right off, and it's been a changer for how I wear my hair ever since. So it is amazing how one haircut and someone really looking at how you can do something different and suitability can impact how someone wears their hair.
Suitability is huge. I read something this morning that gave me a laugh, and it said, everybody wants bangs until they get bangs. So here you can start to see how the look is beginning to form, especially through the sides and through the fringe is giving me this nice sort of movement. And because we're cutting it off a center guide, It's going to allow us to be able to part it either on the left or on the right. I always like to add versatility into my haircuts because doing it the same way all the time can get tiresome for our clients, and we have to remember at the end of the day, they're the ones that live with it for, you know, the next 4, 5, 6, 8 weeks, however long they go between their appointments.
Exactly. We have more hellos and greetings from all around the world. We also have another compliment from Claudio with regards to love the green color and wanting more specific. So Sarah, if you wouldn't mind recapping again on what was accomplished here.
Yeah, so she was pre-lightened with our Davines Progress lightener, and then it's an all-over color with a new color, which is our ammonia-free color. It has quite a few rainbow pure colors in it. So it's the green and the blue in very small quantities with the cream base and the 5-volume activator to make it all come together.
Progress.
There's the Progress bleach. I will add the actual formula at the end of this too.
Awesome, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, it's a great color. I like pastels, but I think we need to start exploring pastels that are a little bit, less, streamlined, and start playing with colors that are muted or, just experiment. And that's what I love about the new color Pure Tones is it's truly an artist's tool where you get to formulate the colors that you want to see. Okay, so let's get to the front. So now we can start to see, the beginnings of the finished product in through here. We've got a lot of length in through the fringe, which looks good, but I think it's just a little bit too long and it's a bit too safe. So we're going to go through there, and now we're just going to visually cut, and how I'm going to do that is basically slide cutting my lengths off.
James, there's a question with regards to your comb.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can share with regard to the tools you pick with
That I choose to work with?
Yeah, is there anything you
That's a great question, because that's a question that I always ask people when I was newer in the industry. And, I think tools are a very personal choice on what you like and are you able to achieve the results. The comb that I'm using is a YS Park, and I believe Hairbrained has it on their pro website that you can purchase. But I've been using YS Park for a number of years, and I get what I want out of them. Scissors and brushes and all of that, you really have to try a lot. I mean, I've been doing hair for about close to 25 years now, and I've gone through a lot of brushes, and you have to go through and find which one works for you and which ones you like. It's not necessarily one that is just mine or that is going to work for everybody.
Okay, I think I have another important question. Can I ask the question, or do you want to?
Yeah, you can ask the question.
Follow up here. So the artists were announced for the Worldwide Hair Tour. So exciting to see all the great names. Can you tell us what we can expect from you? Pretty please.
From me, myself as an artist?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if it's at that level yet where I can say. I mean, it's coming up soon. I'll let you know that myself and Sarah and another hair stylist, Amanda, she's going to be working on it. We're filming this coming Wednesday for it, and I think that's about all I can give you at this point.
Okay.
But I think it's going to be a really unique experience, different from what you guys have seen in the past. So definitely tune in and get with it. So now I'm just visually going through, what do I like, what do I don't like, is it too solid in some areas, but we can start to see the initial shape of this little pixie shag that we've got going on there. And I would say right now is where I would start to blow dry. I'm not going to force you guys to watch me blow dry. I just want to tell you the products that I used on her today, which was Day Day Hairspray, awesome leave-in conditioner, and then I'm going to prepped her with blow dry primer, and I'm gonna finish her with, this is a shine wax from Davines. So, thanks to Sarah for working so hard. We have already a finished blow dry, so you can see the end result of this cut.
And then I have a few more questions
Yeah.
to share.
So here's the end result after we blow dry. What do you guys think?
It's stunning. I love it.
Awesome.
So the question, interesting, I think you'll like this one. Could you use a razor?
You know what the conversation was this morning
I love it.
with myself and Jess and Sarah was, should I cut it with a razor? And this one was done with scissors, so based on the fact that she was done with scissors and we wanted to show you the actual result, we cut that one with scissors. But could you? 100%, and I have done. And it does work very nice either way. Just know how you're using the razor is a really important
So
piece.
you have like, gosh, I love it, beautiful, looks so good, texture on point, great cut, that's beautiful. And then the other question is, do you use a type of cutting aid in the hair?
Yes, I use the Day spray, but it will depend on the hair texture, the hair type, because I will also use, oil, I'll use all-in-one milk. So it sort of depends on the look that I'm going for and what the hair needs. I wouldn't say that there's one product for every head. It depends what we're trying to do. So this is my finished look. Completely different from last week's. If you didn't see the first one last week, go and check it out so you can see how our method and styles sort of diversify. Join me next Tuesday. It will be at 10 a.m. To see the final cut. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day and coming to listen to us. Don't forget to give recognition where recognition is deserved, and stay safe, and thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us with Hairbrained Live, based out of Vancouver. James Abu Alba, Method Education, Davines artist, and Sarah filming today. Thank you again. Have a great day. Stay safe.